Hola humans, today we are going to cover one of our exponent laws, which is the product property. As we go through these, I want you to keep these 3 steps in mind. So step 1, we are going to look for our invisible ones. These are super important. Okay. Second step, we're going to multiply coefficients. They're not always present, but if they are, we are definitely going to multiply those terms. And then for number 3, we are going to add exponents of matching bases, keyword being matching. So looking at example 1, this one's very short. I'm noticing right away that I don't have any coefficients. Coefficients would be large numbers in front of those x's, and we just don't have them. And then I do see that we have 2 exponents and a repeating base. And so in this case, our base is x because that is the variable in front of the exponent. So when I see that I'm multiplying 2 terms that have that same base, we're going to look for those exponents, which in this case are 3 and 4, and we are going to add those. So 3 plus 4 would be 7. So my final answer here would be x to the power of 7. Okay, looking at example 2, we have a lot more going on here. So step 1, we're still looking for those invisible ones. So 3 and 10 are my coefficients. I don't need to worry about invisible ones for those, but for my bases, x and y, I do. So for this first x right here, I see that it doesn't have an exponent. So if it's missing an exponent, that's where we're going to put that invisible one. Okay, my y has an exponent, so we're good. This other x and y have exponents, so we're fine. We took care of all of our invisible ones. So now we're going to go back and look at those coefficients. So my coefficients are 3 and 10. So remember, we multiply those large numbers. So we're going to have 3 times 10, which is 30. And then I'm going to go ahead and write down all the bases that I see. So I see that we have the variable x, and I see that we have the variable y. So I'm going to leave those here and now find the exponents that I need for each of those. Okay, for my x's, we have this invisible one that we wrote. We also have this 7, so we're going to do 1 plus 7 for x. When I look at my y's, I see that we have a 4 and a 5, so I would do 4 plus 5. Okay, to simplify all of this, we're just going to rewrite that 30 because nothing's really going on with it. X, we're going to write x to the power of 8 because 1 plus 7 is 8. And y, we're going to write that to the power of 9 because 4 plus 5 is 9, and we are done. Also keep in mind, the faster you pick up on these rules, you don't need to write this step. You could jump straight to the final answer. All right, for example 3, these are ones where I see people start to panic because we have fractions. Very scary. So we're going to start with those steps again. So we're looking for invisible ones. A has a power of 1/2, so we're good. B does not have a visible exponent, so I'm going to go ahead and write that 1 here. My other 2 variables have exponents, so we're good. Multiplying my coefficients, we have -2, we have +3. -2 times 3 is a -6. Then I'm going to write down my bases. We have an a and a b, so those are my 2 bases that I'm going to write. And now we're going to look at my exponents. For a, we have the power of 1/2, and we have 5/2. So I'm going to put 1/2 plus 5/2. For b, I see that we have a 1 and we have a 1/4. So again, even if you don't know how to work with fractions, if you know that you need to add them, honestly, right here, if you were working a open-ended test, you would probably get a lot of points from your teacher. But to finish it, more than likely, you have access to a calculator. So if you are working this and you know how to work with fractions, you probably know right away that this is a to the power of 6/2, which is 3. And for b, you would get 5/4. Okay, if you did not know how to do that, you could still enter in that to your calculator. Okay, so for the blue one, for A, I'm going to go ahead and write 1/2, so 1 divided by 2, and I would add that with 5 divided by 2, and I get 3. So that matches for my base of A. For my base of B, we had 1 plus 1/4, and I get 1.25. Now I wrote 5/4 down, so if this was multiple choice, I would need to match decimals. So just do 5 divided by 4. Do we get the same thing? Yes, beautiful, we're correct. Okay, example 4. Here we have 3 things that are being multiplied instead of 2, but the process is the same. So we're looking for invisible ones. My first A has an exponent, second one has an exponent, third one, oh, missing, get that invisible one in there. So now we're going to look for those coefficients. We have 3 of them present, so we got a 10, a -4, and a 2, and we're going to multiply all of those together. 10 times -4 is -40, times 2 would give you -80. If you weren't sure about that, check your calculator. Then we're going to write down all of the bases that we have. All of it seems to be the same variable a, so we only have one base. And then we're going to go ahead and look at those exponents. So we have 11, we have -3, and we have 1. And we are going to add those all together. So 11 plus 1 gives me 12. 12 plus -3 is the same as me saying 12 minus 3. So we should have 9. And again, if you are not sure, go to your calculator and put all of that in order. So the first exponent I saw was 11. We know we're adding. That second number that I'm adding is a -3. So I'm going to put -3. And then I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to add that last exponent, which was 1. Either way, we get 9. And the last example that I'm going to do with y'all today, example 5. So even if you don't have parentheses, that dot in the middle does indicate that we are still multiplying. So when I'm looking for this, again, I'm starting with invisible ones. X has an exponent, Y does not. So go ahead and put that 1 there. Z, X, and Z, everybody else has an exponent that's visible, so we're good. Looking for our coefficients, we have 7, we have 5, and we're going to multiply those. So 7 times 5 is 35. Looking at our bases, again, we have 3 of them. So I'm going to write all 3 of them. And now we're going to look at those exponents. So for my X base, we have a -3 and a +3. If I add those, I get 0. If you're not sure about that, check your calculator. But I'm going to move ahead to Y's. So if I look at Y, I see that I have 1 here, and I don't see anywhere else. So when that happens, it's just the same. You're going to write it. So I have Y to the power of 1. And then when I look at my Z's, I've got some negative numbers. So -10 and -4. -10 plus -4 is the same as -14. So when I go through this, I want to look at what I can simplify. So 35 is going to stay the same. I have x to the power of 0. So if I have 0 x's, that's the same as me just not writing it. Okay, then I'm going to put my y. When I have the exponent of 1 here, we don't need to keep that for our final answer. We're going to go back to making that exponent invisible. And then for z to the -14, we're going to leave that at the top, and we will work with negative exponents in a different video. Hopefully this helped with your exponents, but those are all the examples I have for you today.